lots when they don't.
Very carefully. You pronounce it Sandus just like Candace.
Okay, Sandus.
It's, I would say it's Polish, but it's actually Prussian from before there was a Poland. When my family immigrated back in the Ellis Island days, my grandfather was an Air Force colonel with his name since here, and never understood why his grandson started going by Gary Sanders for sales purposes. I'm like, I sell advertising. People hang up on me for CZ, CC, CE, C.
I guess since we have,
This will put 9.
it will. I guess they said they were going to be here, but we can let them sit.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's close up, and there's only if any, you run into that name on Facebook, I'm Sanders, and everybody else in my family is Sandus. In fact, my son's first girlfriend was Candace, who was terrified. He was married a girl named Candace Sanders. Candace Sanders. Worried that was going to help out, but Tell you what, Eric, if I get one more row through here briefing, I'm gonna seat him in Eric's place. Got two minutes.
One.
You're sworn, I just need you to read and sign.
Out loud.
But if he's willing to spectate, not be a non-voting member of another.
I'll leave that up to the discretion of what you think's best.
Mark, go ahead and take care of what you got. We've been assured that Jonathan's going to do the speed briefing.
So I'll take you for a second.
And I have that other copy.
I don't know if it's if you signed that one. So,
Yes, sir.
Well, that's actually more for Guy and I.
They won't be here tonight. I know that for sure. They're working on the software. They had to get a new app.
You are. Yeah, you're the box.
Welcome aboard.
It does. Yes, sir.
So, this is our last one.
Yeah, well, we had no sound.
Oh, you don't have the current agenda?
I didn't print it out.
No problem.
Oh, no, this is it, isn't it? Yeah, no, this is it. Yeah, so.
That keeps you out of the lead. Thank you, have.
No, it doesn't, Mark, I'm not filing a complaint.
He's got way too much free time. Mr. Smith, we welcome you aboard, but if we can get you and Mr. Langston there in the purple to trade places for tonight.
That's just fine.
That way, everybody's nice and clean.
Oh, yeah.
You get to practice reading the version.
Gotta start on the right foot.
Lord knows they didn't let me do that. Mr. Langston, and he'll take Eric's spot. And I'll go ahead and start us off with the speech part and the number of people. All right, welcome to the staff briefing of the Board of Adjustments and Appeals. Am I on? Yep. Board of Adjustments and Appeals for the meeting of July 19th, 2021. I'm Barry Sandis, Chairman of the Zoning Board of Adjustments. The staff briefing is hereby called to order at 6:38 p.m. This portion of the meeting is where the staff briefs the board and previews the cases on tonight's agenda. Board members will have the opportunity to ask questions that may facilitate the meeting and the presentation of the case. No action will be taken during this part of the briefing. I'll now conduct a roll call of the members to confirm the presence of a quorum. After I call your name, please say here. Barry Sanders here. Debbie Hubachek.
Here.
Michelle Madden.
Here.
Clayton Hutchins.
Here.
Robert Mendoza.
Here.
Timothy Abadapo.
Here.
David Baker.
Here.
All right, so we have 4, 5, 6, 7. We also have Melinda Rogers.
Here.
And I'm sorry, where am I looking? There you are, Anthony Langston. Why did I roll right over you? I'm sorry. See, that's what I try to do when I go out of order. I get all crazy. So we do have 9 members ready to sit. This will be our panel for tonight. Not present, Ralph Castro, Tommy Land, Heather Mazak, and on deck we have Eric Smith, but he's a non-voting member tonight of the board. Let the record reflect those members present and who's not. Commissioners, please remember to turn on your microphones before you speak to ensure that everybody can hear you. Ready for you, Mr. Tooley. Go ahead and present the cases.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Tonight, we've got 6 cases. I'm going to try to run through it pretty quickly. We've only got about 20 minutes. If you can, save most of your questions for the public hearing portion, and we'll try to answer those then. And then we will also have an item menu about the COVID update. First item tonight is a carport at 1402 Lake Crest Drive. The applicant is just asking for a special exception for the construction of a carport. It is attached to the home, same height as the house, 414 square feet. Does meet all the setback requirements. This is the drawing that the applicant provided. I believe it will be built out of wooden shingles and match the house. Again, a site photo of the existing conditions. They did provide some neighbor signatures of those who did not oppose it on Lake Crest. Provided this map to kind of give you an idea. The ones in green are the ones that did not oppose it, and the one in red is the applicant's property, with the ones in yellow being a vacant property. Our recommendation is we do not oppose BA 210605 as requested. I can answer any questions at this time.
Questions to my right? Questions to my left? Rolling on to the next case, sir.
Next one is BA 210608. This is a variance for a patio cover setback variance at 2607 Waterfront Drive. The applicant is requesting he's wanting to build a patio cover in the rear yard, but due to the zoning requirements of the 20-foot setback, it's prohibited, so he's asking for some relief. He's asking for 12.5 feet. As the site plan shows here, you can see that we'll butt right up to the easement. There's some site photos of the existing conditions. He's just wanting to add the patio cover. He provided this rendering just to kind of give you an idea of what it will look like. It's a nice product made out of cedar and will match the house. The applicant did provide an approval letter that was from the HOA. Again, staff does not oppose BA 210608 as requested. I can answer any questions at this time.
Question to my right? Question to my left? Rolling on to number 3.
Number 3 item tonight is BA 210709, located at 733 Lamoda Street. This is within the San Grande mobile home community. What the applicant is requesting is to place a manufactured home in the special flood hazard area, which is the floodway in the 100-year floodplain. Our code prohibits this, and so they're requesting to put it in there. This case was before ZBAA last year in August of 2020, and it was denied. I will say most stormwater, I got an expert from stormwater will be here tonight to go through the case and explain it and hopefully answer any questions that you have regarding this. Let me just...
There was a home there previously,
Correct.
correct?
Again, staff will be recommending denial of BA 210709 as requested based on the following findings of fact: that this variance could affect the health, safety, and general welfare of the public. The variance can potentially affect the city's CRS rating with FEMA and could raise the insurance rates of citizens of Grand Prairie who do have floodplain insurance. This also could set up a dangerous precedent of allowing more manufactured homes in the floodplain. And, variance allows structure in the floodplain and possibly the floodway can potentially be dangerous. That concludes my presentation on that. I can answer any questions. Otherwise, we'll have a more in-depth presentation during
No questions to my right. Mr.
Public
Abadafo,
hearing.
go ahead, sir. Remember your microphone.
Has anything changed since the last consideration? Thank you.
Anyone else to my left? All right. Moving on to number 4.
All right, number 4 request tonight is BA 210704. This is a special exception for a garage conversion. Our code requires that this be if there is a request for a garage conversion and it doesn't meet the requirements for administrative approval that it comes before the board for consideration. This is just an idea of where this is at 2313 Ravenwood Drive. This is a site plan that the applicant provided. As you see, the garage is located in the rear yard. They're just wanting to enclose it to add an extra bedroom. This is what the currently looks like. I believe they're going to be using siding for this one. This is what the home looks like from the street. You can't see the garage from the street. It is located there on the right side of your screen. Again, staff recommends approval of BA 210704 as requested. I can answer any questions?
Yes, Ms. Madden?
Is that a J-swing driveway or is that an alley behind? Do you know?
I don't believe there's an alley behind.
I can't tell from.
These are front.
I'm just curious. Okay,
Yeah, just
thanks.
from the front driveway.
Any other questions to my right? To my left? Yes, Mr. Baker, go ahead, sir.
So in this area, do they allow carports and that kind of stuff? Or
It's on, it has to go through the city permitting process, just like anything else. It's not under a special zoning or anything that prohibits it.
like, HOA,
In fact, this is not in an HOA.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions over here to my left? All right, moving right along. Thanks, sir.
Next one tonight is BA 210706. This is a special exception for another garage conversion located at 1501 Juneau Drive. The applicant, again, is requesting a garage conversion for extra space and extra room. Similar to the previous one, this is in the rear yard. In fact, this one is accessed by an alley. This is from the, I believe, at the corner of the property, and then this is from the front looking towards the house. Again, staff has no issue with this one and recommends approval. Can I answer any questions at this time?
Questions to my right? Questions to my left? All right, let's go to the last one then.
All right, the final case for consideration tonight will be BA 210708. This has 3 variance components to it. What the applicant is trying to do is take this one piece of property and eventually plat it into 4 lots. But before the platting can happen, need the variances to the requirements of the Unified Development Code. So the first variance will be for the reduction in lot width. From code requires 60 feet. He's requesting 50 feet. Reduction in the minimum required area for SF4 zoning. The zoning requires 7,200 square foot lots. He's requesting 5,744 square feet minimum lots. And the fourth is for the density, which ties into the lot size. Again, this exceeds the maximum allowable density. The Unified Development Code requires 5.8 maximum density per acre. This one is requesting 7.6. As you can see here, this is the plat that is being reviewed concurrently, and that will be that goes to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Again, 4 lots. This is 1 lot. This is in the Burbank Garden addition off of Bowles and Northeast 33rd Street. This is a couple site photos of what looks today, just one vacant lot. I believe the applicant intends to construct 4 single-family homes on the property. I did some research. We just kind of, this is a 300-foot buffer around that property, just to kind of give you some information on the existing lots. Most of them are closer to 55 to 60 feet in width. I believe in the staff report, we put about 90% of the lots are 51 feet and over, about 10% are 50 feet and under, and then as you can see, the numbers with each lot is the current approximate square footage of the lot. So most of these lots are closer to 10,000 square feet. They're long, skinny lots. The staff recommends, since the staff believes the applicant can meet the zoning requirements by creating 3 lots instead of 4, we cannot support BA 210708 as requested. That concludes my presentation. May I answer any questions?
Questions to my right? Any questions to my left? Mr. Hutchins, go ahead.
I
Sir.
hope. Is my microphone on?
There you are.
How was this advertised? What does the advertisement say?
What is the advertising?
Advertisement in the paper when you advertise.
As it is in the agenda.
Do what?
As it is in the agenda.
Creation of 4 lots, et cetera?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Any other questions to my left? All right.
All
I will
right.
conclude briefing. I see in my agenda here, we now have the COVID-19 meeting update at this point.
So we put this on the agenda. We've been updating with Planning and Zoning Commission as they have their meetings. This is really just to kind of see how everybody feels about potentially moving back to normal seating positions to the dais. And as you may be fully aware, council is back to normal seating. The Planning and Zoning Commission, I believe either the next meeting or next month, either one, they will be voting to see if they want to go back to the dais and back to normal seating positions. And so we just wanted to kind of gauge and see how everybody felt about possibly moving back to the dais and what kind of a game plan, what you think.
Well, let's open it up for discussion. Anybody strongly opposed to sitting 9 across?
Well,
go ahead, sir.
I would have normally have said that I didn't oppose it, but with all of this stuff about the Delta variant, I think we ought to stay separated. I don't guess we have to wear masks or anything, but that's just my feeling. I'll sit next to anybody who wants to.
Anyone else have any comments on
Yes.
Mr. Ibadapa, go ahead, sir.
Since it's a privacy issue, it would be nice to sit together only when we think virtually everybody has been vaccinated. So the issue of vaccination has proved qualitatively all over the globe to be helpful. So if that could be put into consideration, that would be great.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your input. Anyone? Yes, Ms. Rogers, go ahead.
I agree with separation.
We're okay, still spread out like we are right now?
Yeah.
See where this is going, you gentlemen and Debbie?
I'm okay with putting this together.
Okay. Well, you other 4, you want your shot to say anything about it, or do you not really have an opinion either way? I mean, personally, I'm okay together only because I was up here at the council meetings and every seat was filled. There are many opportunities. I mean, I'm going to events where there's 8 of us at a table. I promise not to hug Mr. Hutchins if he's not comfortable with it.
Well, don't sit in my lap either.
Well, I was just worried you fellas are weighing in because I got caught in the rain today and I'm a little musky. But everybody's opinion is on. What is the thought? We're not going to vote on this. You're just going to take the input back to Mr. Jackson?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're just trying to gauge how everybody feels. Nothing's being mandated by council
No,
at this
certainly.
time. But
At this point of the 9 board members splitting, we're about split.
Okay.
It kind of looks like with the feedback we're getting, we're about 5-4 or 4-5, however way you want to go.
Okay.
So just if you'll give that feedback, Ms. Madden.
And I mean, I would guess that if anybody, whatever way we go, if anybody feels like they want to or need to wear a mask, that'd be okay with, I mean, that's fine with everybody all the time, so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Baker, go ahead.
I think that if those that were uncomfortable, that they could probably sit out here and everybody else could sit up there. I think that's probably how it could be handled.
Well, fortunately, we're not having to make any decisions tonight on this. We're just giving our input. And I think it's very readily apparent to everyone here because we have 2 out of 9 that are currently wearing masks in their separated spaces, and that's their choices. I mean, frankly, I've been one of the least healthy guys this year, and I'm up here without a mask, so who knows? Sure. I am vaccinated, but I understand your concern. I was in a meeting last week with what I would consider 6 learned people, and I took a poll, and half the room was not vaccinated for whatever personal reasons. I am, but there are, it's not going to be a full-on mandate, I think, nationally.
Right,
so-
but I can almost guarantee you, those that are polled that aren't vaccinated, they don't probably have a problem sitting together either.
Right, then, and you know, they're the same ones lined up to go on the new Carnival cruises this, this week. Yes, ma'am. Or nope, just happened. So,
I'm fully vaccinated, but they say that's only 95% effective.
you don't want to risk that other 5% me sitting on your lap, I understand. I don't think you should have me sitting on your lap just for your knees holding up, but anyway.
Well, we
I'm
can,
being vaccinated, but it's that Delta variant that, you know, kind of.
It is alarming, we know
to
politically.
me, but it does concern me.
I mean, we're hearing everything from our House of Representatives that are in D.C. right now to athletes at the Olympics who you know, on the surface vaccinated, you would assume are extraordinarily healthy people, but still coming down. We've got a young lady that we're interviewing tomorrow, and she just sent us an email. I've been exposed. I feel great, but I've been exposed. And I feel like I need to let you guys know.
okay, well, I will take this back to our director, and we can just, if we need to
Okay.
talk about it next month, we can do
If
that as
anything,
well.
we appreciate just kind of polling us and getting our opinion on it.
Sure.
I think separately, some of us have expressed it anyway.
Okay.
But we'll roll with what I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable.
And if anybody has any individual questions on their own, they feel free to call us and we can talk through it.
Sounds good. All right, at this point, we will conclude the staff briefing and we'll adjourn until 7 p.m., which is in 4 minutes. Now, anyone that's got a case before us that would like to speak, I see more cards coming up, but if you haven't had a chance to get with Ms. Ware and fill out a speaker card, that's kind of the playbook I follow to know who to call on and who would like to speak. And even if it's not a case, if you're not the applicant but you would like to speak for or against an issue, if you will fill out a card with Ms. Ware, she will take care of you at the top, and we'll still give you an opportunity to have your voice heard. But it's kind of the roster I play by. And did several people in the room just get up and walk out for a comfort break? Not another protest, my bad jokes, is it? It happens. My wife found something on Facebook, said apparently it's considered rude when you tell someone when they start a story, you tap them in the forehead and say, skip intro. So she posted on there and said, yeah, I tried this on Barry Sanders. It didn't work. And all 3 of my kids replied in like 30 minutes. I'm like, yeah, we wish that worked on Dad. He starts into a story. My wife now does to this kind. Did I ever tell you the time? Yes. Tell me one salient detail you remember from that story. And then she said, you just said yes, so I wouldn't tell another story. That's all you did. I will have to look. Hang on. I don't have my, I think I put most of them in, but tell you what, I've got the city website up here. Meeting calendar, it is the 16th, Ms. Reuters? I'm over here looking at application deadlines, getting all kinds of confused. Is the 16th a different day of the week? No.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna do this now because apparently they're very noisy. This one made noise. Oh. You need to remember to do this when the mic's not on. thank you all for being here. I'd like to make sure we got 9. And we had more than 9 say they're going to be here, but for whatever reason. So we're not doing the awkward tap dance, so I appreciate this program working like it's supposed to. As we look longingly at the door for anybody. All right, welcome to the City of Grand Prairie Zoning Board of Adjustment and Appeals meeting of July 19th, 2021. I'm Barry Sandus, Chairman of the Zoning Board of Adjustments. This meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustments is hereby called to order at 7 p.m. Zoning Board of Adjustments usually meets the third Monday of each month. All meetings are video recorded. No official action can be taken unless proper application has been submitted through the Planning Department. The Zoning Board of Adjustments follows a printed agenda that is available online. The Zoning Board of Adjustment and Appeals is appointed by the City Council to consider variances, exceptions, and appeals as prescribed by the City of Grand Prairie's Unified Development Code. In accordance with Section 211.009 of the Texas Local Government Code, the concurring vote of 7 board members is necessary to decide in favor of an applicant on any matter on which the board has jurisdiction. Once again, you need 7 to get your variance or adjustment. 6-3 is not a winner. Members of the public may address the board on items listed on the agenda under public hearing. I'll now conduct a roll call of members to confirm the presence of a quorum. After I call your name, please say here. Barry Sandus, here. Debbie Hubachek.
Here.
Michelle Madden.
Here.
Melinda Rogers.
Here.
Clayton Hutchins.
Here.
Anthony Langston.
Here.
Robert Mendoza.
Here.
Timothy Abadapo.
Yeah.
David Baker.
Here.
We have 9, let the record show that we have 9 members present, so we do have a full board and a quorum. Our first item on the agenda is our invocation. Mr. Baker, would you mind giving the invocation?
Yes. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, just ask your blessings over us as we proceed through these tonight, and help us to be honest and well-serving to our citizens of Grand Prairie, this great city that you provide us with. Lord, keep us safe and secure as we go through this. We ask things in your name. Amen.
Amen. In an effort to minimize disruptions, the following meeting guidelines will apply. Staff will present first on any agenda item. Then the applicants have 30 minutes to present. Once the applicant has spoken, each member of the public who fills out a speaker card, it's handy dandy things here, will have 5 minutes to speak, with additional time allowed at the discretion of the chair. Speakers should give their name and address for the record, along with whom you represent. Staff will be available to respond to questions following the presentation of each item. An individual who would like to speak on a topic not listed on the agenda should speak under the citizens' comments portions of the agenda. Now, our first action item of the night is approval of the minutes from our June 21, 2021 meeting. Is there any member of the board who wishes to speak on these minutes? We all remember these fondly. The meeting was called to order at 7 and promptly gavelled out at 7:05 after we tabled 2 of our cases. Seeing no one wishing to speak, I'll accept a motion for approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Supported.
I have a motion from Ms. Madden and a second from
I'll second.
Mr. Baker. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion to approve the minutes is approved by a count of 9-0. Now we'll roll on to the public hearing portion of the agenda. Mr. Tooley, if you'll go ahead and present.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have 6 items for your consideration tonight. The first one tonight is BA 210605. This is a special exception for a carport located at 1402 Lake Crest Drive. Current zoning is single family 4. Applicant is requesting for the to be able to construct a carport. Some features about this carport: it is attached to the home. It is the same size as the home, same height as the home, and the size does meet UDC requirements of no more than 500 square feet. This one is 414 square feet and does meet all setback requirements. This is kind of a drawing that the applicant put together to kind of just give you an idea. I believe it will be built out of wood and shingles and will match the existing home. This is a current picture of the home. If you're familiar with this area, this is on the dead end to the old Hensley Field. The applicant did provide signatures of some residents on the street, asking if they did not oppose the carport. These are the ones that did sign that petition. I went ahead and put that in a map just to kind of give you an idea. The red block is the applicant's property, and the green blocks are the ones that signed the non-opposition list, and then the yellow ones are actually just vacant lots at the moment. This was noticed to the public. 24 notices were sent, 0 returned in favor, 0 opposed. There is not a homeowners association. Staff's recommendation is that we do not oppose BA 210605 as requested. That concludes my presentation and answer any questions at this time.
Any questions of staff on my right? Any questions on my left? Mr. Abedapo.
What is the situation along Lake Crest Street with this type of a request?
What is
Is
the
there any other one?
I'm sorry?
What is the situation in terms of this type of a carport along the street?
Right.
Is it frequent? Is it the first one?
I can't. Are there other carports?
Yeah.
No. So one of the criteria for carport approval, there's a mechanism that staff can approve it in office if they meet our requirements, and there's another one within 800 feet. There was not one within 800 feet that we could find.
Okay.
So that's, as you kind of see the map, there's not many houses in this area, and most of the lots are vacant, and so it's kind of starting to be developed. So this is really kind of the first one in that area.
Okay. Thank you.
I was going to ask the same question. Staff presentation had us at 414 square feet is all they want to build. And I thought the mechanism was staff could approve it 500. Is that?
It can't be more than 500.
Right.
But
okay.
there was no other.
But there has to be a presence of carports in the area for that to kick in. Is that right?
There only actually has to be one carport that's been legally permitted within 800 feet.
Okay.
Within 800 feet, okay.
Ms. Madden?
So I'm looking at the elevation and I looked at the drawing and I'm wondering, do we know, are they literally going to pull the roof line out straight? Because this driveway is at quite an angle. They're going to have are they going to have really tall at the street and short towards the house? Do we know?
I don't know, but I think that they're going to not just, I see what you're saying. I think they're going to match the grade.
Okay.
But the applicant is here tonight
Okay,
to
I
confirm
can
that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, thanks, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Mr. Baker, go ahead.
So staff is fine in approving this with no other carports in the area at all?
Correct. One, we didn't receive any opposition. They actually went out and saw it, checked with their neighbors. Two, they're not asking for any actual variances except a special exception. And so, and three, the type of carport they're proposing does seem in harmony with the home. So we feel like those are all three positives.
Because it is setting precedence, that's all.
Correct. And we noticed it as per law, and we didn't receive any opposition.
Ms. Rogers, go ahead.
So, in piggybacking on what Mr. Baker said, I think my concern is, it does set a precedence, but the second one that comes along, what if theirs isn't in line with the house, so to speak, a nice looking, what if they just want to come across with just a flat metal roof?
Unfortunately, state law prohibits municipalities from controlling building materials anymore. In fact, as long as it meets building code requirements, that's acceptable. We have no jurisdiction over that anymore. The only way, if in a hypothetical, this is granted and someone else comes in, it would only come to the board if they didn't meet the UDC requirements. Let's say they wanted to exceed the square footage or something like that. But if they met the UDC requirements and there was one within 800 feet, then they qualify for administrative approval.
Huh,
Does that satisfy your questions, Roger? Okay. I'm gonna look again. Any more questions from Ms. Truly on this one? Thank you, Ms. Truly, appreciate you. I have a speaker card from the applicant, Ms. Shanier. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you want to come down and speak about your application? Or actually, we have a microphone in the back of the room, or I see there's another card.
I think Nathan spoke it all already, so
Actually, I need anything, because we're not picking up anything. If I can get you to go to the microphone in the back of the room, just so we get your name and your address on the record, and if anybody's got any questions for you.
Okay, my name is Mrs. Sanier. I live at the 1402 Lake Crest Street.
Okay. And you have nothing to add, you're here to answer questions, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All
If you
right.
have any question, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Any members of our board have questions? I believe Ms. Madden does.
So, did you hear my question earlier to the staff about how you're gonna build that? Is it gonna come straight off the house and then have real long legs at the street, or is it gonna be at an angle down with the street? Do you?
That, I would have to speak with my specialist on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant? Seeing none to my left, none to my right. Mr. Baker, go ahead, sir.
Well, I do agree with the question. I think it's important of whether that's angled down. I mean, I think that would look silly. I think it's important that it looks, you know, that it does look nice.
I'm
you
gonna,
know,
I'm
with
sorry.
coming off the house and everything else. So I think that's very, very pertinent question to be asked. And I think you should know what you're building and understand what you're getting.
So
Okay.
if the concern of the board is that it not be like a
No,
slide
it's
down.
not gonna be slaying down. I mean, I'm gonna speak with the builder, or the one that I'm gonna hire him to come out and do my carport. It's gonna look nice. I mean, I want my house to look nice, and the reason I want the carport is to protect hail damage. Okay, that's the major important thing for me.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Chanier? Nope. I have another speaker card. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you.
Sure,
coming.
thank you.
I do have Albert Mitchell.
Next case.
Oh, is that the next case? Oh, we had 608. I'm sorry. I'm trying to follow the numbers as best I can. All right. So I do have a question for staff. We're approving this because it didn't meet the any existence of any others. Is it appropriate for us to make our motion to include the slope or no?
The city attorney is shaking his head yes.
Okay. So, you know, as an advisory, if we're concerned there's going to be a ski slope on this street, we can whoever makes the motion, if the motion is made, that it include that there's an appropriate grade, however you want to say that.
We're ready to make a motion? That's my question. We ready to make a motion?
I have anyone else wishing to speak on this case? Seeing none, I am ready to entertain a motion to
All right.
close public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we close and approve BA 210605 with the, so that the house, that the carport matches the straight lines of the house.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Dempsey.
Are we talking about that the roof line of the carport match the grade of the driveway?
The grade of the house.
That'd be great, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I haven't seen the picture,
The lines of the house. Now, they're gonna, the roof line, the peak, he said it was gonna match the peak of the house, according to the drawings. I just wanna make sure that's appropriate. Go back to the drawing, please.
Actually, if I can make a point, it looks like from this,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, it looks like from the sketch that the legs in the front are longer.
Yes,
So that would follow the lines of the driveway.
yes, that would follow the lines of the house.
I'm sorry, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're
it
right.
makes it,
At the
makes it
house.
taller on the
Mhm.
street side.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So I have a motion.
I-
Are we comfortable with that?
I second that motion.
I have a motion from Mr. Baker, a second from Ms. Madden. Any comments or discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign, raise your right hand. The motion passes by 7-2.
Okay.
That'll take us to our next case. Go ahead, Mr. Chuli.
Next case for consideration tonight is BA 210608. This is variance requests for the rear yard setback. The applicant is seeking to construct an attached patio cover to their house. The zoning requires a 20-foot setback. The applicant is requesting a reduction to 12.5 feet total. This is located at 2607 Waterfront Drive, and the current zoning is PD 249. This is a snapshot of their site plan. This is what they're proposing. As you can see the 20-foot build line, which the house meets, but this proposed patio cover does not meet that. So they're asking for that reduction so that they can build this cover. These are some site photos of the current patio there that they've got. I believe they're going to be pouring a new cement pad there to match the patio cover. The applicant did provide this rendering drawing of what they're trying to propose. Again, trying to have like cedar posts and appropriate slope with the roof that matches the home. Here is an HOA approval letter that they did provide, that they went through their local HOA, Grand Peninsula Owners Association. They didn't have any objection. They just stated to me that it's contingent upon this variance being granted. This was noticed according to the state law. 31 notices were sent, 0 opposed, 0 in favor, and again, there is a homeowners association, and staff does not oppose this request, BA 210608. That concludes my presentation.
Any questions of staff to my right? Any questions to my left? Mr. Hutchins, go ahead, sir.
In his packet, he says, I requested that all utility providers mark their utilities in my backyard on May 12th. All utility providers found no utilities. See emails on page 6 and 7. Are they in the packet? I couldn't see them.
I did believe that was provided. It may not have been in the packet, but I have those on file.
Okay. Okay. I guess he means no utilities past their easement.
Meaning in the proposed area, that there's no.
Right.
He had 811 come
I guess that's
out.
what he meant.
811 came out and marked
Yeah.
everything.
Okay.
Well, I got news for you. He's the next one to speak, so we can ask that very
Can
same
I ask
question
that question? Yeah.
of Mr. Mitchell. Any other questions for Mr. Tooley? All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Mitchell, you're up. Actually, if you go to the back one, just keep Mr. Tooley down here. We don't know where he's been. I'm teasing, of course. Start with your name and your address, please, sir.
Albert Mitchell, 2607 Waterfront Drive. I'm here because of the variance we just spoke of. I'm a 25-year resident of Grand Prairie. This is my third house in Grand Prairie. Me and my wife, Wanda Mitchell, moved in this house in 2014. I think it was built in 2005. And it wasn't until I thought about doing a patio I found out that it was built on the build line in the back. And so, as like everybody else during COVID, we probably spent more time at home than you did before. And this past year, I wanted to sit out and smoke meat or something like that, but when it rained, I couldn't. And so I started thinking about designing the patio that you saw the pictures of. If you saw the pictures, it showed what it's going to look like, except that it won't have that slanted roof like that. It will be a gabled roof to match the existing architectural design of the house. So I think it have like 10-inch cedar posts. I think the front has 12-inch, but they're really expensive right now. So I want at least 10-inch posts. And so it's real nice and be a built-in kitchen after it's built also.
All right. Does anybody, Ms. Madden, you have questions?
I do. So the rendering shows, like blue or something. Is that, it's going to be shingle, it's not going to be sheet metal, right?
It's going to be a shingled roof with gable. Not that, initially, I had this real, fancy design with the stainless seam roof, and I saw other people's homes that didn't look right. So I said, I want to do a gable roof with shingles.
So the gable is going to be what direction? I'm looking at this.
The gable would be kind of almost like the center of that roof. More, if you notice in the center post to the left of it, that is the door to get to the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So the gable will come out that way.
Okay,
It'll be a short gable.
Oh, I was going to say, it's going to be a real short, because
yes.
you got windows up there, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's the difference. The problem I have is the clearance between the bottom windows and the top windows.
Uh-huh.
It's only like 2.5, 3 feet.
Right.
So
Okay.
it has to be a kind of a wide gable, not a steep gable.
Right, so it'll imitate but not match the
Exactly.
roof line. Okay, thank
Exactly.
you.
Any other questions to my right? Any questions to my left?
You heard my question that I asked earlier?
Uh,
This is Clayton Hutchins.
yeah.
I guess the utility company said that all of
yes.
that's your backyard, but they said there were no utilities in the part beyond the easement. Is that correct?
There's no utilities in the yard at all. No utilities in the easement. So apparently when they designed this neighborhood, they put the easement there because they didn't know where the utilities would go.
Right.
Actually, the utility easements are on the other side of the street in my other neighbor's yard, which is good for me.
Right, but
So, there's no
no part
utilities.
of your patio cover goes into the easement, is that
No,
right?
it'll stop at the easement, yeah.
Okay. Well, and I noticed you had approval from the homeowner association.
Yes.
I'll compliment you for having all of these things in the application. That makes it clear.
Well, thank you, thank you. I'm an engineer, so this is what I do, so. So,
Anybody else have any questions, Mr. Mitchell? Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming down.
thank you, appreciate it.
Anyone else wishing to speak on case BA 210608? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Baker,
I make a motion that we close and approve BA 210608 with the requested setback of 12.5 feet.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Baker, a second from Mr. Hutchins. All those in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion does pass 9-0. And just as an aside, those last two cases, I appreciate it. Those were on the agenda for last month. Through no fault of the applicants, they got tabled. They had to go through this process an extra month, and I appreciate your patience, and I'm glad it worked out for everybody. Thanks for coming down, folks. This will take us to our next case.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next one tonight is BA 210709. I'm going to kind of introduce this one to the board, and then I'm just going to hand this over to Noreen Housewright, who is our stormwater utility manager. She is the city specialist with floodplain issues, and hopefully she can help. She has a presentation. She can hopefully answer any questions that you may have with this. So this one is located at 733 LaMotta Street. This is in part of the San Grande Mobile Home Park. Current zoning is PD2. The variance request is the placement of a manufactured home in the special flood hazard area. Our code in Article 15 of the Unified Development Code does prohibit that. And some clarification: a special flood hazard area is the floodway and the 100-year floodplain together. Just a brief history: this was submitted as a variance request for the board in August of 2020, which you considered that case and denied it. So our code just requires that applicants wait 6 months and they can represent a request. So this has been almost a year. So anyways, I'm going to transition this off to Ms. Housewright, and if I can answer any questions at the end from staff. So.
Ms. Housewright, come on down.
Hello, how are you?
You're well,
As I
thank
said,
you.
I'm Noreen Housewright. I'm the Stormwater Utility Manager for the City of Grand Prairie. So just a couple of brief definitions with the floodway. Floodplain is divided into a floodway fringe, the floodway being the most dangerous because it has the higher velocity of water. And then a special flood hazard area is your floodplain, but it also has any other areas that FEMA might not regulate that we know that carries 100-year water surface elevations that we watch for. I mean, there's a point FEMA just can't keep regulating everything. So that's where cities come in to make sure everybody is safe. This is kind of just the history of this ordinance for Article 15. You can see in 2001, it was just a simple no manufactured homes in the floodway. Then they added substantial improvement for manufactured homes. Basically, you just couldn't improve that your manufactured home more than 50% of its value. At that point, in 2019, it was changed to say no new or replacement manufactured homes. And then it also clarified the expansion, saying that you can only expand a manufactured home development outside the floodplain. Really trying to get all structures out of the floodplain as best we can. This is just a technical paper for FEMA, just talking about floodways and its importance, how communities, once they adopt the floodway, that they need to prohibit development in that floodway and encroachments, fill, any new construction, anything along those lines, and they're really strongly against variances to this. So in 2014, this was the FEMA firm. This mobile home was in the floodplain, but it was not in the floodway. And as you saw from the timeline, it was changed in 2019 to include the floodplain limits. This is where it is now. So as you can see, it's in the floodway. I checked throughout the mapping system, all the mobile homes in Grand Prairie. We have, 936 mobile homes in Grand Prairie. 200 are in the floodplain, and 18 are in the floodway. This is one in the San Grande neighborhood. This is the only one in this mobile home park. The other 17 are in a different mobile home park. Okay, this is, so we're also part of the CRS program. By being a part of the CRS program, we have higher standards than FEMA. FEMA has minimum requirements just to have this in the NFIP so our residents can get insurance. Being a part of the CRS program is a point system, basically, and the more points you get, the lower your class, and the more discount your citizens receive. We're currently a class 5, so everybody in the floodplain that has flood insurance can get a 25% discount. Anyone outside the floodplain can get a 10% discount. And this is a map of showing what we currently have. This is this year's map of all the residents that have flood insurance in the city. There is, if we grant a variance, CRS basically judges us on how we follow our own ordinance. We are currently in a 5-year cycle visit. We are, August 30th, I'm meeting with FEMA and the representatives to go through our process, everything, all our background for the last 5 years. There is a potential loss if we do not follow our standards. And if there's a loss and we lose points, 337 residents might get a raise in their flood insurance. This is Texas Local Government Code. Correct me if I do this, Mark, but basically anything you do to a mobile home park, you have to do a similar to fit for single family homes. I went through the last 10 years of our CRS verifications, and we have not had a single new construction in the floodplain, even for single family homes. So we are staying with this local government code by keeping it the same for mobile homes and single family homes. All right. This is just in Article 15, this is just the process of granting a variance, and talks about just the different qualifications on this. And this goes back to the denial that Jonathan will talk about. Do you have any questions for me? I know I ran through that.
Questions for Ms. Housewright. Go ahead, Mr. Baker.
Yes, how many feet of dirt or whatever would they have to bring in order to raise this property up so it would be out of the plain?
So but in dirt, basically there's no rise and no loss of valley storage. So if you bring in dirt, you got to take dirt away somewhere else.
There's a lot of, that did not answer my question.
Okay, so they have a lot, so you would have to go through, so they'd have to bring it up to 2 feet above the BFE in this area, which I think is about 5 feet. They have to balance that, they have to do through FEMA, they have to go through a clomer and a loamer process. This is all true, you have to remove it from the floodplain. You can't just put the dirt and raise it up, you have to actually physically remove it from the regulated floodplain.
Okay, but there's a lot of building going on in Grand Prairie, so
Mhm.
there's a whole lot of dirt
Yes.
being pulled out of somewhere. So I'm saying if they brought in 5 feet of dirt and put that in there, would that satisfy the dirt requirement?
So they would have to remove the lot they're in from the floodplain, and by doing that, they have to go through the FEMA process. They have to get an H&H study to show that there is no loss of valley storage and no rise in the floodplain. Since it's in the floodway, they also have to go through the clomer process. This all has to go through FEMA, and they have to balance that dirt. And so say it's 5 feet over whatever, they have to balance that somewhere else in the floodplain. And they have a lot. I don't think you can physically raise it up for here and take it out in the same lot. And then go through the study. You're talking about over $10,000 worth of.
Well, I'm not talking about the same lot, I'm taking the dirt out of the same lot. I'm talking about, there's a lot of building going on in Grand Prairie, and they're taking dirt out and hauling it off somewhere.
Right.
Instead of hauling off, or if they brought it in from somewhere else.
So new
But if they brought in
subdivisions.
5 foot of dirt and put it over this area, and they did that, could they actually satisfy FEMA so that it's 5 foot higher, so it, you're right on the very edge of something?
Mhm.
Could they raise that 5 foot and then be able to build it? I mean, it's just a
Go back to
question.
this map. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a loaded question in some sense, because, here's where they are. So they're, like I said, they're in the floodway. So they would have to go through the clomer process first. It's a conditional letter of map revision. You have your H&H study, which is you have an engineer do all the hydraulic studying for this point with what you want to do. So say it's 5 feet of dirt. They've put 5 feet of dirt in there to make this above the thing. They have to show in the study that they have no adverse impact to any of their adjacent neighbors. Now, if you put a big thing of dirt here, the water is going to go around it, which is going to have an adverse effect on its neighboring properties. And then,
But if that neighbor's sitting at the same level, it may or may not. Okay. I agree.
Yeah,
It's
so-
better than for sure.
so that's one of the obstacles. And then at the end, you have to do a map revision. So you have to go through FEMA again. That's the lower, the letter of map revision, showing this is what was happened. This is, again,
That
H&H
is a
studies showing.
possibility, that's all I'm asking.
It is, but, and what you're saying about moving dirt around, so like when subdivisions come in, they do, the grand plan, they have detention, they, create how they want it to lay out. And if they want to, say, adjust the floodplain, they'll balance their valley storage. They'll fill over here and take out here and create this pond or do other things. And then they submit to FEMA all their drainage. We do a drainage study, all that. So they do all that work, and then they submit it to FEMA, and they physically change the FEMA map. So at the end of it, there's no structure in the floodplain because they balanced it.
Okay, thank you.
Does it satisfy your question, Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Madden? And I see you, Mr.
I have a question of curiosity. I don't know. Is there, with cities and states, I mean, there's a matter of eminent domain. Is there anything that a homeowner could do with regard to reaching out to FEMA to, I mean, this would be a huge loss. I mean, this is a person's property, and obviously Mother Nature's the one, and kind of construction and things like that, and
Yeah.
improvements are what's taking it away from them. But is there any remedy for them with
From
FEMA?
FEMA?
Yeah.
Not, like FEMA does more for disasters. So
Okay.
say the flood came and it was a disaster and everything. They have, if they have flood insurance,
Mhm.
then they can get compensation for that.
Right.
If the president calls it a national disaster, then there's additional funds for it. But say the mobile home, they don't have flood insurance because they own it. So flood insurance is really only mandated if you have a mortgage of some sort. So there's money that way. The other way of doing it is, if the city does like a buyout project to like go and actually physically buy out properties in the floodplain.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Mr. Abadapo, I saw your hand
Yes,
raised.
yes. Please, what is the difference the major difference between this situation and the 18 mobile homes that are in the floodway?
Are you talking about the difference between the two maps?
Yes.
So maps can change for a couple of reasons. You know, development, oh, no, that's
I'm
not
not
what you're
talking
asking.
of the
Sorry.
map. I'm talking of you said there were 18 mobile homes in the
Yes.
floodway in Grand Prairie.
That are still in the floodway.
Yes. What is the difference between the situation we are considering now and the 18 that you mentioned?
They are still there. So they are grandfathered in because they were there before we became a part of these programs. But that's where that cannot replace. So if, as long as they physically stay in that one spot and do not replace it or substantially improve it, they can stay there. But once they move it out, once they even try to repair it more than 50% of its value, it needs to be removed.
Okay, thank
So
you.
that's the difference.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Hutchins, go ahead, sir.
If they did bring in the dirt to raise the property, do they also have to provide the same amount of valley storage?
That's generally the thing, and they have to prove it up in a drainage study. that's submitted
And
through
secondly, when does FEMA require the clomer and the loamer?
If it's in the floodway,
Right.
so if it's a project in the floodway, you have to go through the cloma first. So basically what's called conditional, so you do the study first, FEMA approves it, then you do the work, and then you do the loamer to actually physically change the map. If it's not in a floodway, staff and our third-party consultant, we review the drainage study and we're like, okay, this is good. They do the dirt work, they move it around, then they submit their their loamer. That gets approved, and then they can start going vertical with houses.
And that's a process they have to go through with FEMA.
Mhm. Then,
And otherwise, if we grant it without them going through that process, we take the risk of destroying our floodway ordinance.
yeah, they could take points away from us from not following our own standards.
Right, and that affects everybody in town.
They affect, yeah, all the owners, the 337, I think it was.
Let me ask a question. If it affects our rating and we go from 5 to 4, doesn't it affect all homeowners in Grand Prairie on their insurance?
Only flood insurance.
Only flood insurance.
And 4 is better. We would love to go to a 4.
We'd like to have 4, huh?
Yeah, lower is better on this.
Okay, like golf. All right, got it. Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Houserider.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you coming down and explaining that. Mr. Chuli, you got anything to wrap us up there?
I'll just reiterate our recommendation of denial of this case, BA 210709, as requested, and then on these following findings of fact. Again, the variance may adversely affect the health, safety, and general welfare of the public. Again, as Noreen said, this can potentially lead to unfavorable for our CRS rating score with FEMA, and then obviously raise the insurance rates of floodplain insurance holders in the city. Obviously, granting this variance would also set a precedent to allow other manufactured homes into the floodplain, and this would go against city policy and potentially again hurt the CRS rating. And obviously, the variance would allow a structure to be placed in the floodway and possibly the floodway, which would be dangerous. But obviously, if the board chooses to grant the applicant's request, they must abide by the following. Again, they must meet all our standards for manufactured home placement. They have to have a new elevation certificate and meet all FEMA requirements that Ms. Houseright provided for us.
Any additional questions from Mr. Cooley? Ms. Madden?
And I might have needed to ask Ms. Houseright.
Okay.
So if all these conditions were met that are listed down here at the bottom, if they're met, do they still adversely affect the CRS? What, if it's met? I'm just curious. Because then it would be
Yes.
on the homeowner. It would still?
It would. This is just, yes, it would affect our CRS rating because we're not following our standards. But these are just like, if say you did approve it, try to keep them as safe as possible because they are not unsafe.
Right, yeah. When you
Because
say
of the floodway.
floodway, I think of my house floating away is what I'm thinking.
And if you saw from that, I mean, Dry Creek is right there.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
I mean,
So
Like
even
really
if we
close.
build it up based on these
Well, you
things.
still have like velocities that go through, especially with the mobile home. That would,
Yeah, that's what I
It's
was
just-
thinking
yeah.
too. Okay, I just wanted to check to see if it, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mr. Abadafo, you have a question?
No.
Yes, no? Okay. All right, Ms. Truly, thank you very much. I have several speaker cards, but let's start with the applicant, Ms. Lola Farmer. And again, if you will go to the back and have at the mic, start with your name and address and tell us about this application.
Hello, my name is Lola Farmer. I'm here for the property at 733 Lamoda. I just wanted to tell y'all that we pay all our taxes every year, full taxes on that property, and there was already a home on there that was just moved off last year. Okay, and we had an elevation certificate for that, and the Corps of Engineers gave us the approval to have a house put there. I have the paperwork here, if that helps you. And if we don't get another house there, we're still responsible for all the park fees, all the maintenance. So we're traveling back and forth to fix this place and keeping the kids off there. And there's already been a home there that's been elevated already.
So you moved the house, sold the house last year, the actual mobile
Yeah,
home,
but I had a variance, okay,
for,
for that property
from,
last year from here.
from the city?
Yeah, but I didn't know how to do the video, so.
Well, I remember we had the
Yeah.
case. I remember hearing that. That was me.
Yeah.
I was here for that, so were several of us.
Mhm.
And I remember we did the case. It was a challenging
Yeah.
time for all of us to figure out Zoom, but we,
Right, and
Wha-
then this whole time, it's cost me about $4,000 just to try to get back here today.
now, when you went to sell the existing mobile home, did you check with anybody at the city? Because it sounds like the floodplain and floodways, somebody would have said, hey, this screws you up if you take an existing product. They're only grandfathered. Even if you improve it 50%, you know, then you got to start all over. Did
didn't
you
know
did you
that.
not call the city on that or any of that stuff?
I didn't know none of that stuff.
Okay, that's
No, we had it
unfortunate.
moved off, and that same day, as it was driving down the road, we were up here trying to get a permit to get another one on there.
And that's when they said, no, you can't
Yeah,
do that.
That's when they said no.
Got
And
all
it's never
excited with
flooded.
I
And my father
understand.
lived there, and my mother lived there until they passed, and then we sold that trailer, and
We got out of order on things. They're headed down the road with the trailer, and you're up here
Yes,
trying to get a
yes.
permit. I understand. Any other questions for Ms. Farmer? Any to my right? Any to my left? All right. Well, we've got several speaker cards, but thanks for coming down, ma'am. I have one from a James Farmer, just here to speak just here for support, right?
yes.
And he is in support of the motion. And then I have one for a Ramona Bledsoe. Is that a for or opposed? Is this on the same case? Would you like to speak? Go ahead. We'll start with your address.
Okay, my name is Ramona Bledsoe, and my address is 3217 La Sombra, and I live in a San Grande Mobile Home Community Park for 29 years. I am currently the president of this community. It's been brought to my attention that where 733 is, there was a mobile home that was there. That mobile home was sold to the people that own that mobile home. Ms. Farmer owned the share. We are a privately owned community. We're not an HOA, we're a POA. We have 173 mobile homes in this community. Where that mobile home was at, approximately 50 to 75 feet, it's from, I guess you would call a drain or a creek there. I've lived there since 1992, and we've never, ever had a severe, I guess, flood. whatsoever. Now, when Lola brought the mobile home in back in 2005, it was granted that she brought the mobile home in. When the mobile home was sold, our community was never aware that you could not bring one in or replace one. We were never notified of these rules whatsoever. So at that time, Lola felt like she could, sell it, bring another one in. I personally called to find out when this so-called ruling took place, when it changed. No one could give me a year, a date, nothing. I more or less got the runaround. So now Lola is correct. She's having to pay park bills, park dues for a property she can't utilize. She's already got the utilities there. She's already got the plumbing there. And for her to put the mobile home back on there, she wants to move back into the community. If she's not granted to move that mobile home back into the community, she's still going to have to pay the dues. Now, where the mobile home is, right there you see on the map, towards the back there, there are no more mobile homes allowed back there, which is understandable because we knew that when I moved in. You can't put mobile homes back there. Where Lola's mobile home is, the dark area right back there, we call the common area. 25, 35 years ago, they had a flood there that flooded out all those mobile homes. So now they do not allow mobile homes through that area right there, which we call the common area, which the kids go and play, kickball, whatever. Where Lola's mobile home is approximately maybe 50 to 75 feet away from that creek there. And there are other mobile homes around there that are in the flood area. Again, some of the shareholders come in and ask me if they could bring up-to-date mobile homes. Well, I just found out here recently, no, you can't do that because once you move one back out, you can't bring one back in to put right back into place. And some people would want to make their home a lot better because they got mobile homes. Like me, I've got a mobile home that's 40 years old. If I want to improve or bring another one in, if I live down there, I can't do it. So we're taking away. And I'm pretty sure that Lola would get insurance or whatever to cover that. We're not asking to put any other mobile homes down there. We're asking for Lola just to put her mobile home back on that property. And I just recently found out, I'm telling people down there, now you can't put no mobile home down there. I've been told that. They want to know when, date, time, when this happened. I can't give them an answer because nobody gave me an answer. So really, Lola needs to be able to put that mobile home back on that property, and we're not going to allow any other mobile homes down there close to that creek area. Lola's property is far enough away from there. Do I have any questions?
Ms. Bledsoe, go ahead, Ms. Madden.
Yeah, so did I hear you right when you said that along that parking area that goes up and down, y'all know because it flooded there at one point a long time ago?
At one time, it was brought. I moved in 92.
Were there trailers there then?
I was told that prior to me moving in the year 1992, that common area, there was a flood that happened years ago before I even moved in.
Right. And there were homes there at that time?
They were supposedly mobile homes because if you get a better picture, you'll see that there are concrete slabs there that you would put a car on.
So just let me preface it all with, I think it's a really unfortunate situation. I don't know who manages I understand that you're like the POA president or
right.
Whatever, but I feel bad for the resident. But at the same time, just like those other mobile homes that were there in the area that you're no longer allowing, the floodplain moved, and it's nature, and those people, what happened to them? They
Well,
don't, they can't put their houses there either anymore, and it's,
Okay,
but,
right now, from, like I said, from my understanding, from living there since 1992,
mhm.
I came into that park, and when I did, I knew that that area down there is what we call the common area, that there's no mobile homes allowed down there because of something that happened way before I moved in. So everybody in the park, there's 173 mobile homes. That means that there's 173 shareholders that keep this community running. We are a nonprofit. We get no help from no one. It's the people, the shareholders that keep this community going, paying the bills, whatever. And again, I say Lola has to pay her park bills, regardless if she's utilizing it or not. And if she's not allowed to put her mobile home back on there, which already has the plumbing, the electricity, all of that, you know, she doesn't have to do anything other than put it on there and raise it up.
So if you guys are all in charge and you are a part of, you're all ownership of that land, then why don't you guys relieve her of her responsibility of the area that she can no longer use?
Okay, because we have no other property. We are on a 29.01 acres. We have 189 lots in there that equal 29 acres. When you buy a share, you don't own that land, you own a share of the whole community. So all of our shares right now are owned by 173 individuals. Down there where Lola's mobile home is, where we call that area down there, it's probably about maybe six other shares that you add on to 173, and some other share owners have 2 lots, which has a double wide mobile home, which if you add it all together, it's 189 shares. We had no other to give her, nothing.
I know, I'm not saying to give her anything, I'm saying to relieve her of it if she can no longer use it.
We
Maybe the
can't-
other shareholders can buy her out, but we are digressing. I
Yeah,
just wanted to
I'm
ask.
sorry.
thank you. Thanks
Uh-huh.
anyway, thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Avadapo, you had a question? Or are you good? Ms. Bledsoe, go ahead and stay there for a second. I'm just curious, because if you say they have, there on the common area you got, there was concrete, there used to be mobile homes there predating you, right?
Right, yes, sir.
Are those people still paying dues and still having to pay their common areas?
Whatever happened at that time, that shares right there, which we call the common area, is useless.
So,
We don't pay
in theory,
taxes
if
on
we can't get this approved, she can't enjoy the use of the land with a mobile home. You have the mechanisms in place you have in the past to relieve her of an obligation if she can't enjoy and use the land.
No, sir.
You got a hard argument that you're going to keep charging her dues when she can't use it because
Okay.
she's gone through this process and the FEMA and everything else. There's a lot of complications, but if she just can't make it happen, I just don't see how you're.
Okay, let me explain that. Since I am the president of the community, there
Right.
are 7 board of directors.
Right.
Since I'm the president, I have to make sure that all the rules and regulations are enforced. I have to turn around like you do
Right.
and go to my board of directors and tell them what's going on. It's just not my decision. It's their decision.
Well, I understand that, but you didn't know when the city changed the regulations in 2019?
No, no, sir.
And even though it looks like a lot of these properties are in the floodplain or in the floodway, as the governing board of this park, you guys didn't.
We were never notified, never know. I've been on the board, I've been president since December of 2017. And I just found out last year, when Lola tried to put a mobile home on it, you couldn't do it. So there was never a letter sent out to our president prior to me or any of the shareholders saying it couldn't be done.
I'm just challenged that nobody on your board got that. As a property owner in Grand Prairie, I know if anything happens within 1,000 feet of me, I'm getting letters. I might choose to ignore them, but I certainly wouldn't do that if I was on a board or on a group to, if it's going to affect everybody's insurance. It looks like there's a lot of properties. I'm just struggling with the idea that
That's understandable,
Yeah.
but I can't speak for another president that was on the board of directors prior to me. Every 3 years, we have an election for new board directors to come into our community to run the community. So I can't speak for someone else that didn't know. I myself can only speak for myself, saying I've never gotten a letter as long
Okay.
as I've been there.
But you're telling me that the board would have to vote to relieve any shareholder if they had property that became unusable. It'd have to be up to the 7, right?
Yes, I would have to turn around and talk to the board of
Because, I mean, she's
directors.
certainly doing a process and doing an application, but, yeah, like Ms. Madden said, I'm struggling with her being out of luck and still on the hook for money for something she can't use. Does anyone else have any questions? Mr. Abadapo? Yes.
Please, ma'am, since when have you been the president?
I came on in December of 2017.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, can you tell me, I mean, there was a letter mailed out on April 5th of 2018 where they had discussed changing the rules for 19. Did anybody at San Grande get that on the board?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, because the staff just gave me a meeting notes from April 5th talking about this very thing, asking questions on how the lots are released, how nothing can be put on the lot once it's removed. I'm going to pass this on to the other board commission members, but I think we got some miscommunication all around here, and it's caused a very unfortunate situation,
Now,
it sounds like.
To clarify, if you're talking about another property that was in question, there was another property adjacent to Miss Farmer's. That is a totally different property that was exactly in the flood area that an individual tried to put a mobile home on there. And I contacted, I think it was Miss Wright, this lady that was here. She sent a letter to the individual telling them that they could not put a mobile home down there because it was in a common area.
All right.
If you're talking about that letter, I know about that.
Okay. All right, let me pass this along to our commissioners. Does anyone else have any questions for Ms. Bledsoe? If not, we'll move on to our next speaker. I've got other cards. Thank you, Ms. Bledsoe. I appreciate
Thank
you coming
you.
down and letting us hear. I have one more from Karen Gonzalez, who would like to tell us a little bit more. Go ahead, Ms. Gonzalez. If you'll start with your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is Karen Gonzalez. I am also a resident of San Grande Mobile Home Park. I born and raised in Grand Prairie all my life, 26 years, except for college. But I came back because I like where I live. And so I'm also, even though I live currently in 712 with my parents, I'm the owner of 729 San Grande. And my older sister lives there currently because of the COVID pandemic. It affected our housing situation. So I don't live where I own my share, but I live with my parents. Still all within San Grande. I'm just here to explain that also my sisters are also shareholders of the adjacent property that was previously spoken of in, I guess, what was quoted as the common area. I just also want to state that the board was aware that you cannot replace or place a mobile home in a special flood hazard area in general, not just like the floodway, a special, which is the special flood zone hazard area that extends even farther out. And that's currently where my share is located in 729. The previous owner, before I purchased, in 2016, that's the reason she sold it to me, was because she could not place a new mobile home. And because of that, I purchased it and repaired it myself with the help of my family. So again, I don't understand why there was any confusion as to not being able to place a mobile home or a replacement, even a new one. But again, if this variance is granted, I myself, as a owner of a mobile home, manufactured home, in a special flood hazard area, would totally be interested as well to place a new one. So it's just what would be considered fair for what was in the common area. My sisters tried to apply for a permit within San Grande because being a POA, we have to get our own special permits before being able to apply to the city of Grand Prairie, and they would also deny that. We would also receive notifications from the city of Grand Prairie just recently stating that, hello, city of Grand Prairie, you live in a special flood hazard area. These are why it's called a special flood zone area, because of FEMA. This is because of FEMA, not just because of the city of Grand Prairie. So this is beyond city ordinances, state law. This is federal. So I, consider it something very serious. And that's why when I have any questions about my share in regards to the special flood zone area, I contact Ms. Housewright. She's been very helpful in educating me about the whole process and what it means to be in that area. So again, this is a very unfortunate situation, but if this is granted, again, I would totally be interested in following the same ordinances, whatever FEMA allows, elevation, placing in more dirt. Just a note to Mr. Baker. What my question was, even before Ms. Housewright, the person from the city of Grand Prairie, Stephanie Griffin, had explained that if you were to elevate it, that water would just flow to the adjacent lots. So that's just something to also consider of the safety of, which again is a very unfortunate having to live there because, safety. But again, that's where I was born and raised. That's just me, I guess. So do y'all have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Any questions? Am I right? Any question left?
Okay.
Appreciate you coming down and speaking.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I have no other cards on this case. Ms. Farmer, would you like to get up with a rebuttal? Please. Yes, if you'll just step right back to the back.
I forgot to say something.
No problem. Just so they have in the audio recordings, if you just say your name again so they know who's talking.
This is Lola Farmer.
All right.
I have a letter from the board that went to the Corps of Engineers to get approval to sell that particular property. And when they got the certificate, I had to put all the plumbing in there and the water and everything, get it elevated. And I have all my receipts, if you'd like to see.
Now, the letter from the Corps of Engineers, when is that? When was that letter written? Do you have a date on that?
No, I just got a letter from the board that sold the lot to us.
So the board represented it, that it was okay with
Yeah,
the
they went
Corps.
to the Corps of Engineers to get an okay to sell that particular spot. And that's the only one they let them sell.
So, okay, all right. So the board told you that they were cool with the Corps and didn't know anything else about FEMA regulations and the city having an ordinance and all that good stuff. So,
Well,
all right.
Yeah,
I got you. No,
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing that up. So it's what was represented by the board to you. I understand. All right. Any questions? No? All right. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this case? I see none. I will entertain a motion on this case. Mr. Baker.
I make a motion, we close and approve BA 210709.
I have a motion to close public hearing and approve the application. Do I have a second? Do I not see a second? Okay, that motion's going to fail. Do I get an alternative motion? Ms. Madden?
I move that we close discussion on case BA 210709 and deny the application.
All right, we have a motion to deny from Ms. Madden, a second from Mr. Hutchins. So when you vote yay with this motion, you're voting against this variance. All right, so all those in favor of the motion to deny, raise your right hand, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed to this motion to deny, raise your right hand, say aye. Okay. So by a count of 8-1, this motion does fail. And Ms. Farmer, I appreciate you coming through the process, and sounds to, hopefully we can get some relief from the board. Good luck to you. Our next case, Mr. Tooley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next case tonight, BA 210704. This is a special exception for a garage conversion located at 2313 Ravenwood Drive. Current zoning is SF1. The applicant is requesting to convert their garage into a living space, to add an extra room to their house. So our Unified Development Code requires that single-family residents have 2 garage parking spaces, and they're requesting no garage parking spaces. It's just a simple site plan that they provided us. As you see, Ravenwood Drive. The garage is on the side there in the rear of the property. This is a photo of the garage door. They will be enclosing that. Then this is the front from the street. This was notice to the public. 44 notices were sent, 0 returned in favor, 0 opposed, and there is not a homeowners association. And again, staff recommends approval of BA 210704 as requested.
Any questions for Mr. Tooley on this case? None to my left, none to my right. Ms. Madden, there you go ahead.
Do you happen to know what materials are going to close that in with?
I believe it's siding, but they may be here tonight to confirm that.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Tooley.
Okay.
Now, I don't have a speaker card, but I do have the is the applicant Carmen Gonzalez or Jose Canepa here? I may have said those really bad, but I apologize.
Might be outside.
Would you mind, Eric, to check the room real quick? Jose or Carmen is who I'm looking for. Are you Jose? I'm sorry?
No.
No, okay. All right, we don't have an applicant here on this
Mr.
case.
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve, close and approve BA 210704.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. I have a motion to close and approve. Second from Ms. Ubachek, just because I happen to be looking directly at her when she raised her hand. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
So the motion passes 8-1. Mr. Tooley, take us to our next case, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next case for consideration tonight is BA 210706. Again, another special exception for garage conversion at the corner of, it's at 1501 Juneau Drive, at the corner there at Tripoli Trail. Again, they're requesting the conversion of a garage into a living space. This is a photo of the house from the entrance of the alley, looking towards the garage as it is access from the alley. This is a view to show you kind of the front of the house and the surrounding neighborhood. Again, it's the same situation, wanting to close it to have an extra room for their home. 44 notices were sent, 0 returned in favor, 0 opposed, and there's not a homeowners association. And again, staff recommends approval of BA 210706 as requested.
Any questions for Mr. Tooley? Yes, Mr. Baker, go ahead.
How many others are there in this area?
I checked within at least 300 feet, and there were 0. Not either non-permitted or permitted. There were none.
Any other questions for Mr. Tooley to my right? Any to my left? Thank you, Mr. Tooley. I have a speaker card for Guadalupe Garardo. All right, you're the applicant. Would you mind going to the microphone just to let folks know you're here? And if anybody's got any questions from you, the board will ask them real quick and hopefully be fairly painless on this one. Your name and your address.
Guadalupe Guardado, and it's 1501 Juneau Drive, Grand Prairie, Texas, 75050.
And as I understand it, you're just here to answer any questions the board might have. So
Correct.
does anybody on my right have any questions? Miss Madden does.
And this is the homeowner.
You are the homeowner, correct?
Correct.
And do you know what material you're going to be enclosing the back with?
Just wood,
Like siding?
siding.
Not brick?
wood
Okay,
siding. No, no,
thank
no.
you.
Anyone to my left? Nope. All right.
Awesome.
Just easy. You just have to get through Miss Madden. I'll entertain any other discussion on this item. Then I'll entertain a motion. Go ahead, Mr. Baker.
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we close and approve BA 210706.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Baker, a second from Mr. Epidapo. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye. And all those opposed, same sign. So by a motion of 8-1, the motion is approved. And this takes us to our next case, Mr. Tooman.
Final item tonight, Mr. Chairman, BA 210708. This is a variance request, 3 variance requests to amend the lot's width, size, and dwelling units per acre at 702 Northeast 33rd Street. Current zoning, single family 4. Again, the applicant intent is asking for variances to the lot width. Current zoning, SF4 requires 60 feet. They're requesting 50 feet. They're asking a variance to the minimum required area of single family 4. Our code requires 7,200 square feet per lot. They're requesting 5,744 square feet per lot. And the third variance, they're asking to increase the maximum allowable density. Our code requires 5.8 dwelling units per acre for single family 4, and the requested density is 7.6 dwelling units per acre. Oops, this is the plat that was submitted concurrently to the planning department. We are reviewing the plat as well. Again, the plat cannot move forward as is until this request, if this request is approved. Otherwise, they'll either have to revise it or wait. Again, they're wanting to create 4 lots by the plat, lots 1 through 4, 50-foot lots, so that they could put single-family residence on each lot. And here's a view of the property as it is today. It's an infill development located over on Bowles and Northeast 33rd. I put this drawing together just kind of give you an idea of the surrounding area. I did a 300-foot buffer. As you can see, the majority of the lots are closer to 10,000 square feet and over. This area is known for their, not necessarily their width, but their depth. They have most of these lots, some of them are 150 foot in depth, almost 190 feet in depth. So they're really deep, which gives them the larger square larger square footage for lot area. Again, you can see where the applicant's property is there in the center. There are, I believe, approximately 90% of the lots are 51 feet and over, and the 50 feet and less is about 10%. I also provided the square footages there so you can get an idea. You know, our code requires 7,200 square feet, so you can kind of see there's only a handful, really only a couple there that do not meet that requirement, that were grandfathered in. Again, staff noticed this. 44 notices were sent. 0 returned in favor, 0 opposed, and there's not a homeowners association. Our recommendation is that since staff believes that the applicant can meet the zoning requirements by creating 3 lots instead of 4, we cannot support BA 210708 as requested. I can answer any questions at this time.
Ms. Madden, you have questions?
Yeah, do you happen to know what the required setbacks on the sides are of lots in that area?
Mm-hmm. A single family 4 would be a 6-foot setback. Unless
So
it's on a street, then it bumps to a 15-foot.
Okay, so those center ones would have to be 20, no.
They would be 6 feet on each side, so they would be
38.
approximately, 12, 48 foot of buildable lot.
38.
Excuse me, 38, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay, okay.
And then there would be a 25-foot front setback.
On the, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks.
Any other, Ms. Rogers, you have questions?
So it looks like the orientation of the lot, if they switch that to front in bowls, that they would have more space to,
That's what they are proposing, the front bowls.
oh, okay.
The other way,
My mistake.
maybe,
Yeah, like the other two on the side.
towards Northeast 33rd, maybe, is that what you mean?
No, I didn't, I'm sorry, I didn't realize they were actually fronting bowls.
Let me
Okay.
see here. Here's,
Ah,
what it
sorry,
provides.
my bad.
Oh, you're good.
Mr. Ibadapo, go ahead, sir.
Please, how often does the city change its dwelling density?
I don't
And
know how.
Under what situation?
The only time you typically see it is obviously if we either amended the UDC or somebody does what's called the plan development, where they have a custom zoning where they go before council and request that adjusted. Say if it's a master plan development that they're putting in townhomes or a bunch of single-family homes, they might request that as the overall zoning when they're putting that in. But as far as this, which has a base zoning, I have never seen that adjusted since I've been here.
Thank you.
Mr. Hutchins, go ahead, sir.
Is the language on the item on the agenda the way the application was written?
The application, they asked to amend the lot size. That was all they put.
Well, what was advertised, what's on this agenda?
What was on the application?
No, what was advertised?
What was advertised was what's on the agenda.
Okay, so it was advertised the creation of 4 lots, is that correct?
Yes, sir, just as you see those items.
Okay. He's asking this board to create lots. Isn't that a platting issue?
So it's
Creating a lot.
we're asking the board to grant the variances so he can create the lot.
But he requested creation of the lots, and that's the way you advertised it.
Okay.
And that's what we're considering is creation of lots.
Well, yeah, we didn't word it. The intent was for the variances, but I guess it's how you interpret it.
But
as
this
such.
board wouldn't have the authority to create a lot, would we?
That you only have the authority to grant the variances to the lots.
But there's no lot in existence that's this size. There's only one big lot, right?
Correct. It's one lot right now.
Okay. So do we also have a zoning issue? Or is he asking, because everything in that subdivision is zoned SF4,
Correct.
and he's asking for something different than SF4 zoning?
Correct. He's asking for relief from that SF4 zoning.
Right. Well, okay, that's my question.
Anyone else have questions for staff? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Tooley. Got a couple speaker cards, and since your name's on listed, Mr. Zuniga with Dolphin Custom Homes, if you will start us off with that microphone in the back. Start with your name and your address, and tell us a little bit about this application. There you
Hello,
go.
everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Saul Zuniga with 702 33rd Street. So, any question?
Here with any questions. Should we have any questions from our board? Mr. Baker, go ahead.
You reside where?
Say what?
You reside where?
Your address is on 33rd?
Oh, that's the 702 Northeast 33rd Street, Grand Prairie.
All right.
That's where you live.
No, that's
That's where you live.
oh 418 Bridgeway, City Hill.
And it says here you represent Dolphin Custom Homes.
Yes, I'm the owner of the Dolphin Custom Home.
Okay. And and you're also the owner of the lots?
Yes, sir.
The current lot?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Just want to clarify for everybody
All
where
right.
you are and what you're doing.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Anybody else on the board have any questions for Mr. Zuniga? Miss Madden, go ahead.
I do. Do you already have a plan? Do you have plans that you're like?
I had built so many houses in the past, so I got a small plant, I can make it fit in those kind of lot.
Okay, because you were hearing us talk about how the maximum width is going to only be 38
Yes, yes.
to not need another variance.
Yes, I still make it work for 38. I
Okay.
got some property plan for that.
And it looks like you're not going to have an alley anymore. If you were facing the other way, there was an alley, so you're going to have driveways or drive down the side of the front
Yeah, I could be in the front.
or in the very front.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Zuniga? Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
Next card, and I don't have them in any order here, so Adrian Nodarte?
My name is Michael Castaneda, living at 826 West Houston Street, and I'm representing Mr. Rodarte. He's
Okay.
the actual, one of the owners on the properties surrounding this property in
Okay.
question. And first of all, we have Mr. Hector Kuros, which is the owner of 712 Northeast. We have Mr. Adrian Rodarte, the person I'm representing, at 4 Bowles, which is the lot in the back. We also have Mr. Enner Denovar from 730 Northeast. We also have Jose Callejas from 720 Northeast and 3401 Bowles. And they're all opposed, present here as well, for the next reasons. Mr. Hector Kuros, he's the one right on the north of the lot in question. The lot itself, it's a slope, and they already raised it as it is right now without slab. They already raised it 18 inches. So his question is, they're going to put 4 lots facing, the backyards will be facing my lot, which he owns 712 and 704. And it gets flooded as it is when it rains. Now imagine 4 lots behind him or on the south of his property, running water into being so high above him without a slab. That's his main concern. Mr. Rodarte is, I don't know if the gentleman could put the pictures for the plot, not the plot, but the southeast image. That image you see right there on the grading area, the white area, it's an alley. That's the access for Mr. Adrian Rodarte, who's at 4 Bowles or 720 Northeast. That's his way in. If the gentleman, I don't know if there's any pictures of that, but there's a picture that shows that the 4 lots will go from west to east, and it will be right in the middle of that alleyway. So the alley would be canceled. That would only give him 5 feet of entry as an alley. And as far as I know, according to the city of Dallas, you need to have 12 to 16 feet of width in case of an emergency for emergency vehicles, as far as I know. Okay. The gentleman on the right of Mr. Kuros, he's the gentleman at 730. He's also concerned about, why making 4 lots when they could do 2 lots from east to west instead of making them from on the south side of Bowles, as you see there. So you see that the gentleman on house 3401, which would be the one on the southeast or the east side of the property in question, he's saying his access for his back side through the alley would be eliminated, as well as Mr. Rodarte's. And that's the concern, and they're all opposed to this case.
I see a hand going up already. Ms. Madden, you got a question?
I do have a question. So the property that you're talking about where they need that alley so badly is the big open area there?
The big open area in the
Okay,
back,
so
yes.
where do they what is their address?
That'll be 4 Bowles. That's the address for that.
4 Bowles. And so where is the front of that property?
Actually, that's the entrance to the property.
Okay, so do they own the house? I mean, how is it that their address is Bowles, but they're behind 2 houses or 3 houses?
Actually, they're behind everybody. There's that a lot that he's using as right now storage per se,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but that's the access. When he went and got the permits to do like a little shack or a barn per se, they told they needed to have the alleyway.
Yeah, and I think there's I can't remember what the terminology is to be able to have access to land if you're landlocked.
Like an access easement?
And yeah,
But there's a platted alley there. It's already in existence, actually. When someone else platted, I think it's already, you see there on the right side.
Yeah, so
There's
that-
a public alley.
so the alley's not going to go away.
No, it's platted.
Okay, so the alley's not going to go away.
But
sorry.
the thing is that the alley, if you, right where they did the survey, if I'm not mistaken, they have the orange flags for the survey. It's in the middle of the driveway.
Well, and you know, sometimes they have the starting points when they do a survey. Maybe that's what that is, and not, because certainly, unless the survey is done incorrectly.
Because the tenant on the south of, on the east actually, of that lot number 4, the one on the right of it, he's also asking what's going to happen with my access to the back of my property. Obviously, he does have a front end to his property, you know, but he uses that alley as also to go in the back of his property if needed. So technically, Mr. Rodarte is the one that would be more effective per se, and Mr. Quiroz with the water running in the back of his property. And he's already having issues with the tenant on the north of his house because they have a trampoline for his kids, and the new owner, the new landlord, saying, "Hey, your kids make too much noise. Move your stuff to the south of your move the trampoline to the south of the property," which will now be the backside of the property in question. So he's saying, what am I gonna do with now not just a lot that before would just be a lot with water running all across, but now it's properties raising up, elevated 18 inches so far, just with the grading. What is gonna happen when we have those, you know, crazy rains in Texas? What's gonna happen to my backyard? It's gonna be a total, not a trampoline, but a swimming pool in reality.
Any other questions for the speaker? Mr. Ibadapa, go ahead, sir.
Are you opposing this location being turned into 4 plots or 3 plots, or you are opposing it, you are supporting it being only 2 plots?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And just for my own housekeeping, I have a card, Mr. Rodarte. You also filled out a card, right?
Yes, sir.
70
I filled it out.
702
The
Northeast 33
gentleman in the green
is you.
shirt, it's his cousin, so he came, you know, on his behalf. But I have a notarized authorization from Mr.
I just didn't want to leave somebody out. I just want to make sure I got a card for you and for Mr. Rodarte. Okay. Any other questions for this speaker? Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Doing the process. And then I have Jose, is it? Rodarte, did you want to speak or just? No, sir. Okay. You just want your opposed to this motion going through. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition or in favor? If not, I will entertain a motion. Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir. Mr. Dempsey.
I just want to make sure that you understand that what we're voting on here tonight is not the number of lots. The only issue before, because certainly because the board wouldn't have jurisdiction to do that, what we're voting on tonight is whether or not to approve the 3 variances that have been requested. That's what this issue is. So a motion would be in the nature of, if it was to approve, it would be to approve the variance to the area, density, and width of, that were requested of the applicant. It wouldn't be to approve lots.
On subdividing lots, it's on the motion to approve the 3 variances.
Right, and it may be the consequence of an affirmative vote to approve the variances that the gentleman is able to put his 4 lots in, because that's the purpose. But that's not what we're doing here tonight. We're considering whether or not it's appropriate to grant the variances that he is requesting.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that
Okay. Mr. Hutchins, go ahead.
Mr. Dempsey, Mr. Tooley said that it was advertised as creation of 4 lots.
I'll take care of that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear Mr. Baker.
I'll take care of that.
I think in the way he makes the
Let me make
motion,
a
we're
motion
about to
here.
solve all
I'll
problems.
make a motion that we close BA 210708 and deny the variances that are brought before in this, and deny the creation of the lots.
So you're making a motion to close public hearing and deny all 3 variances requested.
Yes, and creation of motion.
Uh,
Creation of, because it says creation.
And I think legally, what our advice of council is, we're not talking about creation, even though it was
They worded it
advertised.
wrong.
Okay, even though it's worded that way. I'm
No,
just
I
saying.
know, we are only voting
we're
on
denying
the motion.
variances, okay?
And you are making a motion to deny
Deny,
those 3 variances.
deny BA 210708.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Now, again, this is a motion for denial, so a vote to approve the motion is a vote against the variances. Everybody's got that? Any other discussion about this? Mr. Hutchins, you okay with the way you made the motion? Mr. Dempsey, are we okay with the way you made the motion? The motion was made by Mr. Baker and seconded by Mr. Ibadapo. And any other discussion on this motion? If not, the motion is to deny this case number 210708. And all in favor of denial, raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. And all those in favor, same sign. So by a vote of 8-1, the motion for denial passes. And that brings us to the end of our schedule. As you may or may not have noticed, Mr. Tooley, do you have anything else for us other than that one?
That's it, sir.
Last week, Mr. Caballero was appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we wish him well, which welcomes Mr. Eric Smith to our place. He was here as a observer, but I see he's not in the room now, but we'll extend warm welcomes and have him sit with us unless he ran screaming for the parking lot, in which case we got to start all over again. But what we do have to do by bylaws is replace Mr. Caballero, who was not here when you guys voted him in as vice chair. So we get to play this game again. Do I hear any motions for vice chair nominees? Ms. Hubachek.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for Michelle Madden. All those in favor, before she says no, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
And that passes 8-0. I'm sure Michelle would vote for herself if it was appropriate. Next up, this meeting is adjourned of ZBA for tonight. And no, it's not